Good day. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. I come to you again as your friend, brother, a Professor Emeritus Stephen Adei. We continue our series on world creation for almost everyone. And we are looking at the principles of sustainable world creation. Under it, we are also encouraging listeners to aim at millionaires, becoming millionaires, joining my Millionaires Club, which is not so much of a club you are going to contribute, but accepting to go through the disciplines of consistent savings and investments with the view of becoming a millionaire. And that is within the reach of everybody. The last time we met, I talked about the importance of vision. Without vision, the Bible says people perish. Actually, the Hebrew translation says their energies are scattered and therefore not focused and able to achieve much. Today, my topic is that of knowledge. Because in Hosea chapter 4, verse 6, we also learn that without knowledge, people perish. And boy, how many millions have died poor, literally, for lack of knowledge. Talking to you as Professor Emeritus Stephen Adei, please don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about going to the university, getting a degree or PhD and becoming a professor. No. Interestingly, I hold a bachelor's degree in economics, master's in economics, PhD in international trade and finance, and nobody ever taught me how to manage my money until I was 46 years. And thanks to some rude insurance agent who wanted me to sign up insurance, and I asked him to give me 1 day to think about it. You won't believe that that young man was so rude that he threw the papers at me and left the house and never came back. But going through the debris, so to speak, I found a little book called Common Sense by Adei Williams. Small book which I've kept to date, and I'm in my 77th year, because within 1 hour of reading that small booklet, I got all that is needed for me to start my journey of wealth creation and to become a millionaire. So the knowledge I'm talking about is the knowledge within the reach of everybody, and yet it's a knowledge which practically 95%, if not more, of people never acquire to their loss. I want to therefore dedicate today's session with knowledge for wealth creation. Let me tell you that they are so simple, and yet if you miss it, you will miss everything else. Of course, when you need knowledge, you need the discipline, you need the tenacity to implement it and to wait and see the results. But I'm going to show you a few basic, manageable knowledge in which everybody who is listening to me should be able to grasp and implement. Oh, people say yes. For me, when I went to school, I didn't like mathematics. What he meant was arithmetic, because the person would not have gone even up enough to study serious mathematics, algebra, geometry, calculus, or anything of that nature. No. Everybody in the world loves mathematics. Did you hear me? Every normal person in the world loves mathematics. Because I don't see people going to the shop and leaving their change behind, or going to the marketplace and don't bargain and then make sure that they get the best out of it. You love mathematics. The reason why the arithmetic and the mathematics in school became an anathema, something you hated, let me apologize, was because of your teacher who taught you mathematics abstract, in an abstract form. And if you failed to grasp it, instead of changing their method, they punish you. One of my colleagues, when I was in the middle school, a lady, somehow was not able to grasp almost any mathematical concept. And she was beaten for 4 years until she failed her common entrance. And of course, that was the end of her school. What a shame. You love the mathematics I'm going to show you. Why? Because if, for example, you knew that certain basic arithmetic was the key to your financial success, you have grasped it with the zeal of a thirsty person at a brook. Let me say only 3 things, because the mathematics you need to succeed, it's so simple, and I will take my time to go through it. The first, in all financial engineering and making it zero tolerantly, not through corruption, not stealing, not through political connection, but through your sweat, is to know that you must earn an income, spend less, and the difference, which is a saving, must be invested to grow. Let me go over it. Simple economic equation, but one which everybody will appreciate. You must earn some income. If you are going to be wealthy, no matter how little the income you earn, you must spend less than your income. Oh, my salary is small. Yes, it doesn't catch, as we say in Ghana. I now can't balance it. I have to borrow in order to meet the months. Let me tell you, if your expenditure exceeds your income, you are in for a disaster. Whether you are an individual, a company, or a nation. Ghanaians know what haircut is all about. The haircut means that we borrowed and spent more than we can generate to service it. And for the next almost 10 years, we are in for one of the worst situations, not even one of the worst situation a country can fall into, not able to pay its debt, so that the creditors determine how you live. When they were campaigning, it was quite interesting. I was listening to both sides promising the sky. And I said, but have they forgotten that we are in the haircut period and the hair is not growing? Instead of telling us the truth, that is going to be a difficult 5 years. But these are the strategies to come out of debt and then go to the level of sustainable wealth creation as a people. We were being given a list upon list of promissory notes. And therefore, we are not ready to take the hard decisions. The hard decision about Galamsey, the hard decision to make sure that we owe a substantial part of the companies that are exploiting our mineral resources, that we will not sit down as a nation for MTN to decide whether they want our foreign exchange rate to be high or low. They are scooping billions of dollars and taking them out of this country. And yet, as a people, we are not ready to take the tough decisions that will augur well for Ghana. Why? Because we think that when we are in need, we can borrow. So the first is this basic concept. You must earn some income. 2, no matter how low or high your income is, you must spend less than you earn. Because even if you just balance your budget, In other words, your income and expenditure are equal at the end of every month. Before you earn any money, you are zero rich. In other words, you start with a salary or an income, and then you end up with zero, and the cycle continues. Now, let me talk to two people. Again, I always want to talk to the poorest and the not so poor. Assuming somebody is earning only 1,000 cedis. If you live in Ghana, and you, especially in the city, and you earn 1,000 cedis, you are poor. If you earn so-called minimum wage, you are very poor, maximum of 600 Ghana cedis. And yet, if you spend all your 600 cedis, assuming you don't borrow, in the month, you are going to be zero rich all your life. In other words, you will die poor. And yet, if you manage to spend 550, which will not make you any worse than your 600, you have started accumulation of wealth. The second is, not only should your income exceed your expenditure, that's income minus expenditure must be positive in order to have a savings. Much of the time we'll be talking about what to do with that savings, because if you don't invest it and grow it and multiply it, at best you are saving to feed the bankers. You are not going to be rich. But that one, we can come to that. So the first principle I want to say to illustrate the importance of the knowledge is that your income minus your expenditure must be positive, no matter how small it is. Because I can tell you, when you save and invest only 50 Ghana cedis a year, at least you may not be a millionaire, but in 30 years you have accumulated 500,000 cedis if you are able to invest it in a rate whereby you get 17.5%. And in any case, if you are a low-income earner, the time you hit 100,000 Ghana cedis, you are different from those whom you started with. Number two, you need to understand how money grows. In arithmetic, we call it compound interest. Let me show the people who are sophisticated to know that at least understand the mathematics of compound interest, because what I'm going to teach the ordinary person on this YouTube and 101.9 FM is so simple that they don't need the formula I'm going to share right now. Compound interest says that amount A equals the principal into bracket 1 plus R, the rate of return to the power T time. A, in other words, if you have a period of 10 years of savings and investment, what you will get out of it is the amount you invest every month, P, into bracket 1 plus R, the interest rate you get to the power T time. That's all the sophisticated mathematics. And let me tell you, if you are listening to me and you are not literate, or you have not gone up higher, you don't understand what compound interest, this is just to show that at least some time ago I did something that qualified me to be a professor. That is for the laugh. On the more serious note, all that I'm going to say is simply this, that compound interest is investing consistently, and instead of taking the interest, you allow every time the interest to also be invested, so that the principal and the interest at every month also bear interest. And then of course the next time round, it will be the mothers, that's the principal, the amount you put aside every month, plus their children, plus their grandchildren, plus their great grandchildren, all bearing children. That is interest for you. That is for the, and of course, if you have, even in the production, if you are having children, your children are having children, your grandchildren are having children, soon your house will be full. That is the concept of compound interest. But let me tell you this. It's not so much of this that you need. There's what I call in my book, 12 Keys to Financial Success, the 72 rule. Listen, the 72 rule. All that it means is this. If you divide 72 by the rate of return, say that if you invest and the treasury bill rate or the bank gives you 12%, if you divide 72 by 12, you will get 6. That means every 6 years, if you put down 50 cedis together by 6 years, it will be 100. Then the next month you put 50 cedis, it will be 100 to be added to it. The next time you add 50 in 12 years, it becomes 6 years, it becomes 100. That is the power of compound interest. And you will see in this regard, when you are compounding, there are 5 things that will make up and make more or less growing rich easy, and a game that everyone must play. First of all, you must be putting some money aside consistently. Maybe 25 Ghana cedis, it may be 50 Ghana cedis, it may be 1,000 or 5,000, depending upon your level. Consistent investment. The amount is also the second important thing, but over time, the amount is less important than the consistency. But of course, the higher the amount, the bigger it compounds. The third is time. Listen, ordinarily, people cannot get rich overnight. It requires time. Normally, when you start investing consistently, you see the fruit about 5 years. 10 years, you start enjoying, because by 5 years, in most cases, the returns will be far higher than what you are putting down. By 15 years, NDC will say, hey, yo, bodo. By 20 years, most people who are consistent investors will have seen a tremendous change in their status. That leads to the third, that is the return you get from the amount you invest. You must be very careful that you don't invest consistently below inflation, because the real value of your money will be going down. And we will talk about these details, and eventually, of course, if these things are in place, consistent saving of an amount over time at good interest rate, and all of them, we will have sessions on them, then the power of compound interest will work for you. One of the greatest, if not the greatest scientist that lived, Albert Einstein, was asked, what is the greatest thing he knows in the world? They thought that he would talk about his law of relativity or something like that. He says, no, it is compound interest. It is the secret of everyone becoming rich. Let me leave you with a certain formula, which many people don't know. So far as I know, probably I was the first to have come up with it, the 10-10-80 principle. I have found it consistently, and you can read it in my book, 12 Keys to Financial Success. And I'm talking from the Christian perspective. If someone decides from this month that they will put aside 10% of their income as an invest it. Where to invest, of course, will come down the line, and they are being Christians, give at least 10% of their income to the church or to Christian causes or to help other people, and live on 80. That is my famous 10-10-80 principle, living within 80% of your income. No matter where you start, you are bound to end up rich. 10-10-80. Pay God 10% minimum. Invest 10% minimum. And 80% also is what you budget on. You are likely to see the greatest difference in your life. These are the things. Of course, the whole series I'm going to go through over the next several weeks is about financial literacy. Today, my principle is, the second principle is the principle of knowledge. The last time it was not vision. Without vision, a clear direction where you want to get, you are not likely to make it. The second is that you need some basic knowledge to be financially successful and to become a millionaire. We will look at all the details later, and because all that I'm going to share come under knowledge. But without knowledge, people perish, including you. The good news is that you can make it, because the knowledge you need is going to be offered for you free of charge over the next few weeks in bits that you can absorb. Shalom, and may the Lord be with you as we meet week after week. Meet me on Adei Force on the net, definitely the YouTube. You can always get there with Professor Emeritus Stephen Adei. And don't forget to listen to me every Saturday morning, 8 a.m. on ZFM 101.9. The Lord be with you, and may your journey to be a millionaire be successful.